Hey,
Hello.
hello.
Hey, hi. So many people here.
Yeah, yeah. But you are 1 minute early,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Uh, okay. Yeah, they say that if you want to be on time, you have to be 5 minutes earlier.
yeah. Yeah, and since I start to look at this stuff, I kind of go enjoy the meeting so I don't forget, because it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I have 2 minutes more, and then I decide to
Yeah,
do something, and
yeah, yeah. Got the idea.
yeah.
Uh,
I do have reminders, but kind of,
it don't work. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It doesn't work right now. Docs. Hope there will be other people joining.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3, 5 minutes, I think is fine.
Yeah. Robert said that he won't be here today. I don't know about the others. Rasmus online but away. Is that what it means? The Z on the green dot.
Yeah, and that's
Okay, here he is. Okay. Now it's a Splunk meeting.
yeah, but it's good we wait a little bit more. Let's wait until 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
If nobody shows, we go over the pending PRs and discuss them.
Yeah.
Hi, Zach.
Yay. Hey.
Hey, Lon. Let's see.
I think Chris is not gonna join. Robert's not gonna join, but let's give perhaps 2 minutes extra if somebody else joins us.
Cool.
This beginning of the meeting, if people, I don't know if people see the recordings, but should be very kind of boring, and just us here waiting.
I don't think I've watched any of the recordings.
Yeah. I think I went back to some stuff. Like in the beginning, we had Noah talk about a lot of things about the profiler. I think I went back to some of those some time ago, but then we should check the statistics on those videos,
3 views.
Yeah. And if you want to show yourself on YouTube, now you have a video. All right. Okay, I think it will be us today. Okay, I just have I would like to check the PRs and be sure that there are nothing kind of blocking any progress on those. That's the only thing in my mind. And last week, I'm trying to have the guy that implemented the event pipe for the collector, the OpenTelemetry collector, to do a demo for us. And I think this is something that we want to keep an eye on and build on top of that, as we mentioned, I mentioned at least many times before. So yeah, let's go to the PRs. And I want to be sure that my screen sharing is working, because sometimes.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
All right. So let's just start with the oldest one here. So.
Oh, it's red. Damn it.
Okay. This was some initial discussion.
Yeah, on this one, there's one thread that was a little bit lengthy that I think we wanted to bring discussion to the SIG group, but with people being gone, we might want to hold off on that discussion.
Okay. Do you remember which thread is that? So. Yeah, it's a long discussion. So.
Yeah. The main thing I went in and started reviewing it in terms of just like implementation details, but it's pretty breaking for Datadog, so we might have to consider. Well, we have to talk about the merits of making the changes and then having Datadog be out of sync, or trying to abstract. Like the trace ID abstraction of a struct is a really good abstraction, but it's just not compatible with what we have right now. So we have to discuss whether how we're going to handle this, because it is fundamentally breaking.
Yeah, the problem is there's I can find a way to do it in the other way. Like you pass the ulong that it's not sufficient for us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to break it somehow.
Yeah.
Let me. If we had an additional data structure, that is also a problem. And just for me to understand the internal problem, kind of. If we keep the old structure and have one on top, is this still a problem? I'm not saying for us to do that. I'm just kind of trying to understand the scope of the impact.
Yeah, so at least, so the trace ID, as it's represented in our internal APIs and external as well, people using NuGet package, the trace ID is represented as a ulong. So even just changing that structure is a breaking change. One idea that could work is adding sort of an upper trace ID, just basically adding a new ulong field that we keep internally, and could add to the internal interfaces while keeping just one sort of ulong trace ID in the public APIs. At least for us, since we need to keep those the same for now until we do some sort of planned version change. That could work. It'll probably just be duplicating quite a bit of code, but especially if it's only going to be used for OTel, maybe that separation is okay.
I see.
How would you like to pass that to, let's say, span context? How would you like to create span context then, as it only accepts one ulong, and now we have two?
Yeah, in that case, I would recommend doing just a new constructor or new overload that accepts two ulongs. That's only
wouldn't that break as well as well? Let's say someone has an older auto instrumentation package, and downloads a new one. And he creates a span context using the new constructor, and the old DLL is loaded in runtime. It will break.
But then the old one is just gonna see the lower part, right?
You're saying someone's coding against the previous implementations that only had a lower one? Is that the scenario?
Yeah, let's say that he is using an older auto instrumentation package, like with the 64-bit one, and he downloaded a package, Nugget package, to instrument something manually, but new one with the new constructor for span context. And he uses this new constructor, and then when the application runs, wouldn't do out the old DLL because of the auto instrumentation anyway.
Got it. In this case, that would still work, because, well, it just depends on sort of how the assemblies work out. And for the way it's currently constructed is where that main Datadog trace package, the one that carries all those definitions, that one is the one that they compile against. So they'll definitely be using the newer one, and the older automatic instrumentation, that would.
Wouldn't that be loaded in the runtime, the older one, and then that would break?
We would have to. We could set a default. I mean, we could set basically modify the existing constructors to null. Basically, set the higher trace ID as 0. But that would actually work. I think we'd probably take some POC or exploration, but that seems possible.
Yeah, I also want to consider the other possibility that you said about when you eventually do a version bump, because then we could perhaps do the switch on OpenTelemetry. You don't pick up this part, and then when there is a version bump on your side, then you pull, because then it's a breaking change. Just for me to have an idea, is this something that you think is workable too?
You mean like this PR, like the way that it's constructed, all the classes like that, or?
Yeah, let's say in general for a breaking change. Of course, then we have to batch those breaking changes, but we could do some of like this one. You don't pull this one for some time, but then when you do your version bump, then you pull this one, and we are exactly on the same page. This is also workable?
I think so. I think that would be workable.
And of course, you don't need to kind of do any commitment now. You can take a step back and ask your colleagues, kind of, and
sure,
discuss this possibility. Perhaps there is things that we're not seeing, but
eventually we'll have to break it anyway. So
yeah, and this puts a little bit a burden on, let's say, the people doing the upstream pull, but that's something that we can handle for some time, So I think, as I said, on one hand, I don't like to keep blocking the PR so we can make progress. But I think we need to kind of come to an agreement, at least for the short term. I think long term, we eventually need the tracer to kind of be on its own thing, and eventually we need to support activity. So, but this is much more long term. And on the short term, I just want to kind of be able to kind of be sure that we don't stall, So do you want to take some time and get back to us via Slack or whatever about this alternative of perhaps do the breaking change? We handle the merges. You don't pull that one specifically. And when you do the version bump, you had the opportunity to pick up these breaking changes.
Yeah, I'll talk to the team and get back to you.
All right. So I'm going to be, so for now, let's hold off a little bit on merging that one. Just we have confirmation, but I'll try to note this on this PR, so we are aware that kind of, because from a perspective kind of open source projects, I don't like when we have the PRs kind of going for a long time and there is no updates. You know, we have to eventually make a decision on top of them. I think hotel status, the last that we mentioned, I think Robert had mentioned that we had a way forward last meeting, but I'm not sure if so. This you holding the change was prior to this discussion here. Yes.
Oh yeah, so this is the thread I was thinking about, because I suggested just making the API compatible, like keeping the API and just adding a new one and just making it backwards compatible so we could consume it. But then we're just thinking long term, is that the right solution? And so this is where Robert proposed a couple of options. Can you scroll up a little bit? Yeah, so this was what I was thinking of. I was suggesting number one, just making it backwards compatible. 2 is leaving the backward compatibility just burden on Datadog, and that was also, a fine option. And then 3 was trying to use this as a jumping point to better describe the API that Hotel wants moving forward, and then that would likely introduce some sort of forking of some of the code from what we currently have.
I see. So in the end, it's kind of a similar situation, but the idea here that we want is really preserving the backwards compatibility, right? So yeah, so I think we need to decide if we are gonna do kind of in similar way that we discussed for the Trace ID, and then this kind of thing should be batched. So when you eventually do the version bump, then you can get this and this. But on the other hand, I'm starting to get afraid that we're gonna have a lot of those.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think if we manage to get, because the next thing that I see is about having events, but events is an addition, is basically, let's say, tags with timestamps. And that is used for randomly recording exceptions, for instance. That I don't think it's a problem because it's an addition. Let me see what else. I think these are the big ones in the short term.
Do we have a list of the different kind of big important work items like the events and the Trace ID that need to be tackled?
We don't have this list, but we can put one together. I think we don't have this list ready, kind of, but we should put this list together, and I should send to you.
Yeah, that might help for us to think about that, planning that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try to come up with this list. We already know status, Trace ID, and addition of events. And then we have to check other semantics. There are other semantics, but those are tags and names that I don't think is a problem. It's just then to use the hotel convention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm worried about data structures. No. Okay. Propagation. Okay, so Rasmus, this I didn't look yet. Does this change any data structure, or we are good on this one because it has an interface?
Should be mostly good.
I think it added the field to the tracer, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's a breaking change.
No, that should be fine.
Okay.
So I'll need to finish looking at it. I started writing a couple notes, but yeah, it adds a new propagator field to the tracer, which is definitely fine. I might. Yeah, sorry. I'll just need to finish reviewing it. I started, but I haven't finished.
Cool. So this is not blocked. We can move forward. Upstream, waiting for tests. Oh, and this was something that Rasmus notes because he doesn't use English on his system, which is very good for us testing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this is just something that escaped from the first batch of renames. So I think we are good here. Okay, so we have those trace ID and status that are the big ones. And we give time, and I ping you via Slack so we kind of can make progress and be sure that those two doesn't get blocked forever.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is what I want to mention. Oh, I see Dave joined the meeting. Just so you know, I'm asking Pablo to come next week to do a demo from using the collector. So you may be interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. And I'll send it to my team. I don't know if anybody else is going to show up, but they might be interested. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will send a mail to you if I have a confirmation that Pablo is really coming next week.
Yeah. Okay.
So I will send an email to you, and you can forward the invitation to anyone if you want.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. That's what I had. Do you guys want to bring something up? Or it's time for Zach to roll the credits?
I have nothing else, but I am super appreciative of the work you guys are doing, and I'll try my best to make sure that we communicate if how and if things are blocked to try and unblock you, because I really appreciate all the work you're putting in.
I have one thing from Robert. I think that he was the one that picked it up. There are a lot of static things in the instrumentation code. Mm-hmm. And there's a question if there's any way that the methods that do the instrumentation could have somehow be injected with, for example, tracer and not use the singleton one, because it's really hard to test after we have such a code. And there are a lot of new things without the instrumentation namespace, I think, that they're just static classes or static methods.
Are you referring to the instrumentation methods themselves, like the begin method and the end methods, or are you talking about some other
yeah, like what's used inside of them? They use a lot of static things inside. Mm-hmm. But I assume that would have to be injected somehow, like in CPP code, right? If we wanted to inject something to these methods. So that's why I'm asking, because I'm just green in this field.
So I'm still not entirely sure about which parts. Maybe do you have an example that might help?
Oh god.
Do you wanna share your screen, David?
Give me a second, because I have to find something.
Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing here whenever you find you.
Because Robert was showing that to me, but I didn't look it up myself. So that can be tricky to find. Datadog, yeah.
So I know in the HTTP ones we use like Scope Factory, create.
Yeah,
HTTP
yeah,
span
that's what I'm.
context. Is that an example of that? Okay,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm looking at the moment. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Yeah, so that's one example. That one we could, again, do one of the ideas from the previous, like the first sort of span decorations was to make that configurable on the tracer, and that's a change we can definitely do.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. That maybe it would be like it would improve a code a lot and make it much easier to add something and just unit test it.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Yeah, we can start to convert those moving forward.
Okay, so David, you can start to do in that direction.
Okay.
We just finished a release earlier this week, so we have like I don't know if all the changes so far have been pulled up in that upstream PR, but there's definitely a lot there. And right now I'm going to go back, and now that we've kind of released that, start porting that list of changes that we compiled before, so we can get back to being even with OTel.
Cool.
Okay.
Very cool. And by the way, Zach, thanks very much for really participating in the project. You were being instrumental for this thing to really happen. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
All right, guys. I'm gonna roll out. The credits didn't come, but I'm rolling out.
Oh wait, no, we got the credits here. We got the credits right here. What are you talking about? I'll just keep talking, so maybe my screen shows up over everyone else, but. There we go. We got the credits.
Yeah. Cool. Now you're in the right spot to live. Very cool. We forgot the conversation that should happen right now, so people have to watch until the credits are completely done.
Oh yeah.
Okay, guys. Bye. Nice to see everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.